I'm Viola Robinson, and I'm the lead negotiator for the Mi'kmaq Rights Initiative, and that represents the Assembly of Nova Scotia Chiefs, which is the bands in Nova Scotia, and of course they represent and work for all the Mi'kmaq in Nova Scotia. Well, a treaty beneficiary to me is analogous to a will. If a person is wanting to leave their assets to certain people, they could be family or whatever, they leave those, and they're meant for the people that he or she names in a will. So a treaty beneficiary, at the time when the treaties were signed, it was the spirit and intent of the treaties was to apply to the heirs of the Mi'kmaq signatories at the time, and then and forever. So it's like the heirs to a treaty is like a beneficiary to a will. So it means that I use that as an analogy because I think that is the way that it works. Who are the beneficiaries of the treaties of the 1700s, and that's the work that we're engaged in and that we're doing, and that's, I guess, what we're going to be talking about. There's a big difference. A beneficiary of a treaty is just that. A band, which represents status registered Indians, who are defined and are created by the bands, and the status process for Indians within a band was created by the Department of Indian Affairs. So when that was done, it was done purely for administrative purposes. It was never done. There was never any intent to for them to be able to access any type of rights. Rights have never entered the language of the Indian Act. The Indian Act is a piece of legislation, and it's there for the administration of registered status Indians in Canada. On the other hand, a treaty beneficiary has nothing to do with Indian Affairs and the Indian Act or status Indians, if you will. As I mentioned earlier, the treaty beneficiary is just that. When the treaties were signed, and I know that when our signatories at the time were signing those treaties, they were signing on behalf of their people, which at the time they called Mi'kmaqs. The Indian Act does not refer, when they register Indians, don't refer to them as Mi'kmaq, they refer to them as Indians. On the other hand, we are now taking back who we are as Mi'kmaq people, as well as reinstating or trying to move back. Like, for example, the Grand Council, which is a form of governance that's been there, and it was there for shortly after the treaties were signed. I don't know how long when it started, but they've been there long before the Indian Act. And it's the one thing that the Indian Act was not able to demolish or get rid of when they created the Act. So the Grand Council themselves always makes reference to Mi'kmaq people, Mi'kmaqs, and the treaties themselves make reference to Mi'kmaq. And we call ourselves the Mi'kmaq. So there is that big difference. And the Mi'kmaq, through the treaties, are dealing with rights. The rights that are, well, whatever was a spirit and intent at the time of signature, that would be the rights that we're talking about. And as it says right now, hunting and fishing and gathering as usual and all of that. Indian Act doesn't have anything like that. Indian Act is purely administrative. Well, that's what we've been working on now for the past, well, we started to do the work in 2002, but since 2007, we have gone into it more aggressively. We have a person who works in that area. We've had 2 or 3 people, but now we have somebody who's been there since 2000. Oh, she's been there for a little while. I don't know if she's been there since 2007, but 2007, we started to work on the beneficiaries, who would be the beneficiaries, and we looked at citizenship, we looked at who is a Mi'kmaq, how do we define a Mi'kmaq. All of those questions were being considered and talked about, and this has taken, we're still working at it now as we speak, and the work is coming now to, hopefully, to an end. We've been dealing with this since 2007, so it's a long time. But we've been talking to our people, asking them how they feel, who should be the beneficiary. How do we define a Mi'kmaq person? So all of that debate has gone on and on and on in the communities, with the Grand Council, with the chiefs and councils, and different groups, as well as officer Indians, non-status Indians, and like, for example, the Friendship Center. And so we want to make sure that we're all inclusive when we talk to people, to get everybody's views and opinions on it. There's been a lot of feedback of different opinions and views, but the person, Sabrina Whitman, who is doing the work, has done the research and has compiled most of the information that we've gathered, that we have heard, and trying to come up with what people said, and we're just in the process of going back. But the feedback has been very, very good, as I said, but it's not all the same. It can't be always the same. There are different views, different opinions, but we're taking all of that into consideration. For example, there is, some people feel race-based. It has to be race-based. You have to have a cutoff somewhere. There are others that are saying no. We know who we are. We know our people. We should be able to define ourselves and identify ourselves for ourselves, who is a part of our family and who is not. So that information has all been taken. She's had put it all together. And as well as looking into other other processes across the country where other settlements have been made, and how did they deal with membership or with identity and this type of thing. So we've looked at all of that, and it's so there's an awful lot of work that has been done. Well, there's a lot of we've really been talking about beneficiaries, and people are concerned, and there is a challenge sometimes, because people have been governed for so long by the Indian Act, and being registered and not registered, and everybody wants to be registered because that's where the benefits flow from, is through registration through the Indian Act. And we've had a bit of a challenge in trying to keep them separate, that the Indian Act registration is one tool for administration, but what we're dealing with now with the rights beneficiaries is the exercise of rights. It's the implementation of our rights, whatever they will be, that's coming out of the treaty. So far, what we've done, have been working on is fishing, hunting, and of course gathering and making a moderate livelihood, as the court cases have indicated to us through the court cases. All of these rights can be engaged and can be exercised to make a moderate living. So that's what we're doing now, and it takes a long time. It takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of people that are engaged in dealing with other levels of government as well, because for a long time we have not had that opportunity to do that. And right now, so we're doing it now, and it's a long process, but I feel we are making good progress. Well, I think there is the challenge of we'll have to come to grips with whether it's going to, how we're going to define a Mi'kmaq person. Are they going to, is it going to be race-based, or is it going to be, for example, we have been told, and one of the criteria, preparing the criteria is one thing, and that's what we're talking about now with the people, is that you need to have proven ancestry. That's one thing. And then, of course, you need to have language is very important, the Mi'kmaq language itself, and cultural and traditional knowledge, and your involvement with communities, and for now I'll use the term communities as the reserved communities, but there are other communities where Aboriginal people have been, or Mi'kmaq people have been, and that, and as well as what have they contributed, and is there acceptance by the community of the person. So that's one challenge, I think, that we're dealing with, but we've come a long way with it, and we're at a point now where we feel that we're ready to really, we've met, like, for example, with all of this criteria that I'm talking about, we have already gone to the chiefs and councils with it. We've only got a couple more chiefs and councils to do, and the other part is going back to the communities again, and to get the reaction back to that, and to see if there's enough support there to continue on the way we're going. So far, it's been good. We don't see any adverse, adverse reaction to the things that are being recommended and suggested. It's the same questions some people will have, and will probably always have. I don't think there's going to be a process that can be that we can have that will go without any question. And of course, the other challenge is the enrollment process itself. There's people talking about that, which is the best way to do it, and we have to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to enroll. We have to make sure that it's fair, and that there is no. It just has to be a really fair process, and we have to have something that is going to have some sort of an appeal process. We're still working on that. There'll be legal people who will be working on that. So we're trying to cover all angles as to what we might expect, and that's pretty difficult to do, because you never know what's in people's minds and what they're thinking and what they're prepared to do. I mean, so It's something that is enrollment to be for a Mi'kmaq beneficiary or a Mi'kmaq citizen, whatever it might be. It's not. I know that you're not going to be able to. Not everybody is going to pass the enrollment, the test or whatever. So you have to be ready to be able to deal with that.